Hey guys, quick note before getting into this video. We at MMOByte have started up a new mobile gaming channel called MMOByte Mobile. We'll be providing a link to it in the description, so come subscribe if you're interested in even more MMOByte goodness. I've done my fair share of top 10 videos over the last 2 years, and generally I list a fair amount of the same games. That's not because I'm biased or due to me wanting to repost the same thing over and over, it's because there really isn't all that much variety in the way of top MMOs anymore. I aim to change that beginning this month. Henceforth, every month I will be doing a top 10 MMORPGs you should play in X month video featuring different MMOs you should take a moment to try. This will attempt to, I guess, breathe new life into games that are suffering, likely due to their age, lack of exposure, or just any of a multitude of other reasons. If you have a game you'd like to see listed for next month's video, let me know in the comments section and I will consider listing it. Now let's do this. I gotta start this video with Scarlet Blade Vendetta. I recently got back into this game with my wife Mrs. STIX, Wiggy, and her boyfriend Eve, and we've been having a ton of fun in it. The game was released back in 2012 under the name Queen's Blade, I believe completely unrelated to the anime of the same name. It was classified as a sci-fi adult-themed MMORPG, and that was definitely true. Scarlet Blade has some of the most sexually suggestive NPCs, outfits, and, well, the game offers players the ability to play completely in the nude. I don't really know how much more adult you can get than that. Even though the game was shut down a couple years ago due to Area Games being absolutely terrible publishers, it was revived as a private server under the new name Scarlet Blade Vendetta. They've done a great job of keeping the game alive and kicking over the last couple years and are the only reason the game is even still worth trying. Scarlet Blade utilizes a unique mixture of action and tab target combat, leaving players cycling through main targets, but mowing down additional monsters with large untargeted group AoEs. Oh, and you get to pilot a giant hulking mech as well. That was pretty cool. I have played RAIDERZ a few times over the last, I think, like 2 years, although it was under, once again, private server management. That is because Perfect World Entertainment actually closed the game down, unfortunately. It was, I guess, comparable to Black Desert Online before Black Desert Online actually came out. But it was released before its time, and admittedly wasn't as polished. Like Scarlet Blade, the game was published in 2012, and even though it was shut down, a new publisher, Masangsoft, have plans on relaunching the game in the near future. Until then, however, there are 2 different private servers that you can play RAIDERZ on. Revolution RAIDERZ and RAIDERZ Legend. They're fairly different as Revolution changed quite a bit of the game, whereas Legend kept the game pretty faithful to the original. RAIDERZ was a beautiful, fully action combat MMORPG that utilized an interesting class system, allowing players the ability to pick up various weapons that were scattered around the world and fight with that distinct style. This made for very interesting combat as both Wiggy and I would constantly be swapping our playstyles to acclimate to the weapon. This is an old one, releasing all the way back in 2005. SILKROAD Online is a fantasy-themed MMORPG that actually takes place along the Silk Road between China and Europe in the 7th century AD. Even though Silk Road was released way back in 2005, the game has some of the most entertaining tab target combat available for its time, even going as far as holding up by today's standards. There are various ways of leveling, by questing, which actually doesn't really net you jack in terms of XP now that I think about it, trading, hunting other factions, or what Wiggy and I did, which was just grind monsters, significantly higher level than you. Yep, it is an older game, and older games generally let you grind out instead of questing if you prefer. I can honestly say though that I have had some truly crazy experiences in this game while leveling. One of the early supposed WoW killers. And if the game weren't so pay to win at the time when it launched, it very well may have done well enough to actually have challenged the Titan. Nevertheless, ALLODS Online is a fantasy MMORPG that looks and plays just like World of Warcraft if it were free to play. It launched in 2011 and offered players the ability to, in essence, play WoW for free. It had voice acting, a similar graphical style, a similar combat style, eerily reminiscent classes and races. I mean, you name it, ALLODS probably attempted to replicate it. But that doesn't make ALLODS inherently bad. It is actually a pretty high quality free-to-play title. It also offers players the non-pay-to-win premium server that the majority of the player base play on. Combat is a polished tab target system, and the world you inhabit is large and filled with things to do. The only noteworthy issue, I guess, is the pay-to-win free-to-play servers. But it is a my.com game. I feel like this list should be titled MMORPGs released in 2012 worth playing in 2019, as WAKFU, like the previous games in this list, is a free-to-play title released originally way back in, you guessed it, 2012. WAKFU describes itself as a strategic MMORPG with a real environmental and political system. The game is set 1,000 years after its predecessor, Dofus, and like Dofus, uses a turn-based combat system along with other tactical RPG-inspired elements. There's a lot of player-managed content in the game, such as governmental affairs, organizing militias, elections, and even environmental management, such as maintaining resource levels via planting seeds, harvesting crops, and hunting wildlife. It's really one of the most unique MMOs I've actually had the pleasure of playing, and for the sake of science, I recommend you try it out. Pokemon Revolution Online is one of the many unofficial Pokemon MMOs on the market right now. In my opinion, it's also probably one of the best, if not the best one available. It plays just like every official Pokemon game out there and actually provides players access to various official Pokemon maps. It has a huge selection of Pokemon to choose from and has probably one of the most accurate graphical styles in a Pokemon MMO. Definitely recommended for fans of the Pokemon genre. Ran Online is a really old one, released way back in 2004. It's probably one of the most realistic MMORPGs I've ever played too. It's grounded very firmly in reality and it actually plays very differently to what I'm used to. The game is set in our current time and you essentially play as a school student. You fight other school students and, well, honestly, I spent hours in game and all I fought were like school students and some thugs. The campus that we started on itself was very large and the combat was actually pretty decent. The game seems to have you grind quite a lot though, so if grinding isn't really your thing, then this may not be the game for you. We honestly, we tried questing and the XP was just so, I guess, insignificant in comparison. But all in all, it was a different experience to have, especially since the enemies are all human. I know, how could you recommend a Gameforge game? Well, yes, technically it is a Gameforge game, and I loathe Gameforge to the point where I won't even accept sponsorships from them anymore. But Runes of Magic is nonetheless an MMO worth trying out at least once, if only to experience another free-to-play WoW clone. There are quite a few of them out there. Runes of Magic was released back in 2009, and as such, you know, looks fairly dated. Utilizes a slightly clunkier version of tab target combat than other titles like ALLODS or Ion, but overall, if you're not interested in games like those, this may be of interest to you. It's a slower game that requires you actually take your time and learn how things work as opposed to just mindlessly rushing through. I know. What kind of game actually has you take your time? This one, apparently. Age of WUSHU is one of the only remaining 3D martial arts inspired action MMORPG left on the market. The game was released back in 2013 and revolves around wuxia inspired lore taking place in Ming Dynasty China. I am a huge fan of wuxia movies, games, and the like, so I was, you know, thrilled when I got to try Age of WUSHU out and play through some of it. The game actually has fully voice-acted cutscenes in Chinese, removing the disconnect people often get when hearing poor English localized voice acting like in Terra or Ion or Blade and Soul. You also have a large variety of schools that give you access to different fighting styles, and let me tell you, there's a lot to choose between, and they are all very cool. The game is large and open, the combat is surprisingly good for tab target, and honestly, if you're looking forward to Moonlight Blade, then Age of WUSHU might be a good alternative to satiate your needs. Like Gameforge, I'm not really into advertising Gamigo games, as I, along with many other players, consider Gamigo to be a bit of an MMO graveyard. However, unfortunately, they have the rights to Fiesta Online, an anime MMORPG released way back in 2006 by Outspark. Man, I miss the days when G-Potato and Outspark were around. Nevertheless, Fiesta is about as basic as an MMO can get, but, you know, that isn't really to its detriment. The game takes you back to when MMOs were basic. You have very minimal quests, you require parties to actually do dungeons, there isn't really a whole lot of soloing that takes place because the game is just so damn difficult. Graphically, the game still holds up pretty well. I mean, naturally, not against games like Soul Worker or Period Chronicles or the upcoming Kurzspell, but against other games like Aura Kingdom or Twin Saga, you know. Trilly, Fiesta, Flife, and Florentia, 3 anime-inspired MMOs that all begin with F, that I shall now henceforth refer to as the big 3 Fs, are the last of a dying breed. And that is pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoyed the first of our monthly MMORPGs. You should totally check out videos. That's pretty much it for me though, so thank you all for watching and I'll see you all next time. Peace. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing to our new mobile channel over here, checking out another video, or following both Wiggy and I on Twitter at BiteSticks and BiteWiggy to just chat or hang out.